maybe, and the other guy, she said, listen, I can give that to you. And I said, well, that might be really good. And she said, oh, yeah.
Hi, friends. Host talking with famous people. I'm the guy who's constantly live streaming and then having to restart his live streams until tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow, I actually get my own internet installed out here. It's different from my parents' internet. And we won't have these sort of problems, hopefully, ever again. But who knows? So,
well, this is sort of like being next to David.
I kind of want to revisit the topic we were talking about earlier, but I changed the title of this fun a bit, which is what it means to be realized as understood through what's the goal of typology, if it has one. Now, it's interesting to think of a field of study as having a goal because, does physics have a goal? Well, sure, it seems to. It would be to understand the grammar of the physical world. Does metaphysics have a goal? Yeah, to understand the grammar of the metaphysical world. Is typology a subset of one of those? Yes, as is most everything in the world. So, so then what is the purpose of typology? Well, there might not be consensus about that. I doubt that there is, but the general utility of it is that it's used for self-understanding, understanding of others, self-growth, and presumably movement away from a status quo in which you are less optimally realized and a future in which you are more optimally realized. Now, I can tell you from experience in my own past relationships that I definitely took into those relationships cognitive function bias and wreaked it upon them, so to speak. My first wife especially heard lots of lectures about how she needed to stop using her feelings and, start being rational about things and that feelings aren't a reason for me. Well, I've never typed C.S. Joseph at all, INTJ. That's silly. I can't type somebody without actually doing a conversation with him. He won't have a conversation with me. So I've never typed him at all. I just offer speculations about what type he is because I don't have a chance to talk to him. You can't type somebody without actually engaging in a back and forth. But, that's one of the things where you need to probably do a little bit more action-rooted intuition before you bust out a comment because you haven't thought it through very much, So anyway, regardless, even if I'm wrong, I typed some people wrong. I typed Rachel first as ENFJ and realized she's INFJ. Just because it can sometimes take longer than an hour to determine it doesn't mean that it's wrong, right? It's not as mechanical as I'd like it to be. Has demonstrative FI been an issue for you in relationships? Kimberly had that, right? So does Rachel. It was with Kimberly. It's not with Rachel. Rachel's demonstrative FI is, well, I don't, but you INTJ, don't make me start freaking removing your comments for shifting ground. You started by saying my results were inconsistent with themselves. And now you say, I cannot expect him to debate me. I don't want him. I'm not saying he needs to debate me. I'm saying if you want to claim that I typed him as something, I need to have a conversation with him. You're just ignoring that, right? Why? As an ENTP, do you ever feel like everyone hates you some days? Or is that just INTPs do that? No, ENTPs do that. I definitely feel like everybody hates me. But a lot of days. But the thing is, what I do more significantly is feel like, well, this person doesn't hate me, or that those people don't hate me, at least. So that's the answer to that. I mean, certainly NTPs can generate a lot of enemies because NTPs are the people that there are some individuals in the world for sure who put a big amount of weight in comeuppance. Like that guy needs his comeuppance. Somebody needs to put him in his place, right? ENTPs get that a lot. People feel the need to put us in our place and for us to get our comeuppance. But it's very difficult to put me in my place. It's almost impossible because, first of all, I'm open to actual critique. So it's very rare that you're going to slam me in some way that makes me feel ashamed or embarrassed or on the defensive or something, because I'm open to being wrong. It's fine. Sometimes I am wrong, you know? But the fact is, that bothers people because it's like, how come you can zing other people, Eric, and other people can't zing you? They can, but the only reason they find it so zingy is because they're so attached to not getting their ideas challenged at all. Yeah, that's kind of true. TI users tend to run afoul of people who don't want to be constrained by language. But, all this fucking language versus reality is kind of thing. It really boils down to expectations versus realities. The metaphysical types are the types that try to deal with closing the gap between expectations and realities by changing the expectations or managing the expectations. Whereas your physical types are those who try to manage the realities. Well, I mean, we may get hate for being real, but I'd much rather get hate for being real and be right and be, and be able to look myself in the mirror than be TE and be wrong and be like, not be able to look at yourself in the mirror. Not much, Rusmus. I'm just talking about the purpose of typology. What is the goal of it, if it has one at all? And it is the case that most any kind of field study is going to have a non-normative goal. Rather, it's going to have a teleological goal. Yes. Basically, Ryan Harris saying, and I interrupt what I'm saying because this is worth mentioning. Is demonstrative FI mostly an issue with unhealthy tool FE users then? Yes. An unhealthy tool FE user will not know how to demonstrate positive FI in order to manage people, but will remarkably often demonstrate negative FI in order to manage people. And that's not a good way to do it. What did you miss? Not a whole hell lot. Okay. I recently realized it might be a big part of why I can't maintain healthy open communication with FI tool users. Well, with FI tool users, the problem is going to be that they don't have any TI. And so they don't ever judge things according to a communicatively shared metric. Like the thing about TI is it means all you're really saying if you're agreeing with TI is, yes, those words will pass muster by most people. And FI is always going to say, I don't care. But so the problem is, of course, if you want any kind of fairness, there's got to be some sort of metric, and that's what TI provides you. FI users say, I don't care. So it's going to be very frustrating because they'll try to be fair in ways that aren't actually being fair, but rather some sort of make it up to you, get you back kind of a thing. I don't know. They're weird. They're confusing. And that is a form of self-improvement, of course, Elizabeth B. Milbourne. It is a form of self-improvement to better understand other people's perspectives, because that's, an expression of the self is the understanding of the other. Now, for people who are knowing types, who begin with knowledge, then they're going to look to know based on realities, really, first. They're going to look to reality to give them their sense of knowing. Whereas, any user is going to look to his experience for a sense of knowing first and foremost. Well, yeah. So thank you for getting me back on topic, Rusmus. So that's the straightforward way of understanding its goal or its purpose. But the question I'm really asking is, what goal do the people who get into typology typically have, or what goal is implicit in what we're all talking about and stuff? Is it about understanding, being more descriptively accurate? Is it about modeling in a way that's more accurate if tested by simulation, let's say? Is it providing people a tool that's more powerful in terms of their ability to metacognate change, positive change in themselves? That's a possibility. I think all of those goals are kind of mishmashed together, and it's not really discussed very much or made explicit a lot in typology. The meta work, which is what we do a lot of around here, and which is probably why I have got so many fewer subscribers than some other people who do more straightforward MBTI stuff. This kind of meta work, really, it isn't for everybody. Not everybody's interested in it, and it makes more abstract even what's already a pretty abstract thing. But if you're going to actually get the non-abstract part right, like here's the non-abstract part of typology. You are a meow, 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 meow. That's a non-abstract part of typology, and it's not descriptive. It's not normative. It's basically saying it's diagnostic. It's saying you in the particular express this whole area thing as thus. Come in.
Come on, Jane. Dinner's ready.
Bye, Mom.
Okay.
Have a nice dinner.
Enjoy.
Okay.
Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.
Now you can get anything you want to eat.
Come on,
Thank
dear.
you, Jane.
Yeah.
Go on, Mommy. Come on, go with Dad.
Okay. Let me get this.
Okay. So,
Okay, these.
no, Mom, leave those here. Fingers.
Yeah.
Leave them here. Mom,
Leave a lot of them here.
leave my
I'll
shoes
take
here.
those. I'll wear those.
Leave the shoes here. Mom's
You
stealing
don't
shit.
want them because you don't want it to hit you. I know
I think
that.
you should leave probably the sandals here because I think they belong probably to somebody else.
Well, what we can do,
Yeah.
we
Come
can
on.
stay there till we get this thing going.
We can eat first.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye, Mom.
Okay.
So let's see. The particularist sort of identity part of typology is different than the explanation part, right? I do both. Mostly I talk about the explanation part. But even there, you could be more or less concrete. I could be talking about how individuals of certain type are likely to express more, or I could be talking about how the mechanics of cognitive function stacks are more. I tend to do the latter more, and it's the kind that's more dry, less refined for a broad audience, I guess. Hanging here says, typology helps me understand how people work, and I plan to use it in my writings. That's a good idea with the writings. I would say it helps me understand how people work for sure. Like coming into this relationship and chatting with Rachel all the time and stuff like that, I am not dealing with a mysterious other who's not thinking the way I am and confusing me, therefore, the way I would have been 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely feel like I understand most of the time when there's some sort of like confusion between us of any sort, miscommunication. I'll generally understand the why of it shortly after it's been resolved. And, even more so with things that she says or does that surprise me sometimes, whether, good surprise, bad surprise, whatever. Like, what's that all about? And then I think about it and the explanation would be pretty clear. And that's the thing about finding the right type for somebody. When you find the right type for somebody and you keep thinking about them, for people you do keep thinking about, you cease to stub your toe periodically. When you have the wrong type, you're constantly stubbing your toe and trying to account for this weird variation and this thing doesn't fit and that thing that doesn't fit,
Hey, Winston's mom.
I mean, FI tool users, they don't. Okay, it's like, yeah, in a sense, the communicative dialect of FI is commiseration, or even more, more broadly, oh my God, I love that too, or something. You know, it's just so. On the commiseration angle, FI understands your pain better than you do if it's in the tool function, and presumes lots of shit about it, right? And it's just like TI does in the tool function for TI tool user. Hi, Matthias Sanchez. So the thing is, you can't display positive FI. They understand FI much more successfully than you obviously do, or me. I mean, there's some sort of nuance. They're looking for your authentic valuing of them. They're looking for your putting yourself in the other person's shoes. In other words, being very cautious with other people's feelings. And they're looking for you to, I guess, display unique particulars that they feel uniquely, particularly linked to them. There could be no other two people like this. Now, contrast this with the way Rachel and I talked about our relationship. It is very much a unique, particular thing, but we understand those aspects of it through universals more.
Yeah.
So, like, Rachel tries to account for all of our uniquely resonant connections that we seem to have with explanations such as astrology and numerology and stuff like that.
Yeah. Those are my tools.
And when I provide her explanations that have no universal link, such as, well, I'm special, you just have to have faith in that. She's not satisfied with those explanations, you know. She wants something more universal than that. So that's Eric, tell Rachel she was right about my type. Thank you. Oh, cool. You're right about her type. I don't know what you said about her type.
I said I thought she was an INTJ, and I wanted to see what she had to say. So
Okay. Well, I never typed her. All I know is
I really don't know either.
it's unlikely she's an INTJ because she keeps going back and forth about it. She's been going back and forth about it for weeks and weeks and weeks now.
Wait, who has Moon in Gemini? Because Eric has that as well.
So I want to talk a little bit about this Mercury and retrograde stuff. Whatever you think about astrology, I think it's worth noting that the people do go through stretches of time where they revisit past things and try to put them to bed one way or the other. And so this has definitely been happening to me and Rachel and the channel and stuff for the last, I don't know, week or so. Our fights have been it's sort of this, I guess, revisiting, processing through, or testing all of our old modalities on the person, and then having them resolve out way differently, I think, than they have before for both of us.
Yeah.
And so other than that, our conversations today, even we've been talking a lot about exes, and that, and then, you know, of course, the channel's dealing with all this old drama from early in the summer, coming back to rear its head again, and it's an interesting notion that one goes through periods of time where one revisits the past things and processes the unprocessed stuff. Because it is the case that the human being seems to have a baseline need for certain things. And there is the capacity to go back and deal with shit that was left behind. Like, for example, I'll get too little sleep for several nights in a row. and then I'll catch up on sleep. I'll get extra sleep, more than 8 hours, 12 hours maybe. I can take a nap, plus get 9 hours of sleep, and take another nap, and then all of a sudden, I've caught up on lost sleep. And there's a need to catch up on lost sleep. So it's odd to think that sleep you lost in the past, you still need to have.
It's so interesting. Yeah, that's very true. Yo, I feel like that makes a lot of sense because over the summer when I traveled to Europe, I came back, I had one day off, I went right back to work. It took forever for me to catch up on my sleep that I lost from the traveling, the time difference. The jet lag lasted basically a month.
I bet. Now, that's one area where I'd say our relationship is somewhat imperfect. I think we both would like to get maybe a little more sleep.
Probably.
I know I would, but it's an odd phenomenon because this relationship has a very moderating effect on me. Like I don't want to get all super thracked out really, although I probably should again at some point probably. But even when I do, I don't feel quite as thracked. I feel more I feel a little bit of sadness at the emotional distance that it puts between us, maybe.
Well, I haven't been, so I'm even like prescribed, like the medicine I'm prescribed to. I'm not. I used to zonk out, which never really wasn't really happy about, But like, so I feel you.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, sure. Friday though, what time? In other words, yes, but what time? Because it's probably not going to be the same time I work with my debate student, I would guess, because you're in England time. I'm basically free. Well, I go to work with that family tonight. So if you tell me what time you want, I'll make sure they don't schedule Friday for that time slot. Now, if I'm assuming you don't want about 6 o'clock in the evening, that's when I usually, somewhere around there, I usually work with them on Friday. My time, which would be like 3 in the morning your time or something. So I don't think you want that slot anyway. But other than that, my day's free from when about 10 a.m. to about 9 p.m. I can start anywhere in there if I'm not working up in Pasadena. There'll be a couple of hours in there where I'm working up there, but that won't be a time when you're awake, probably.
I was just thinking about when you were saying you getting whacked out. Like, I honestly believe that it's really not that bad to get like that every once in a while.
No.
Sometimes I feel like it's as basic as like doing too much routine too often. Like, I get a little squirrely. I'm like, I need to get loosen up a bit.
Jake Forrest, that sounds good. Are you sure you're on standard time though? We're on standard time now, not daylight savings time anymore. If that's right, then yes, that's right. 11 a.m. on Friday, you said, right? I will write it down here on a piece of paper. Old school stuff. 11 a.m. on Friday. Oh, it's so hard to read. Yeah. 11 a.m. Friday. Jake. Right now it is 5:25 p.m. It is now 5:25 p.m. So if that is right, then it should be 8 hours ahead of that, which is me editing it. I don't know. Don't ask me to do clock math. That's too hard.
I feel like when we had to figure it out, I was like, we got it finally stuck as we knew what time, and we stuck that, but still.
What were we trying to figure out? I don't remember.
Remember the time difference between New York and LA, and when we finally got it right, we were stay on top of it, but it took a while.
Okay, so if it's 1:25 there, then that means it's 8 hours. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So, all right. Let's get back on track here. Let's get back on topic. Let's really discuss the meaningful truths that comprise the words that come out of my mouth when I'm speaking to you, like I am right now. 11 a.m. my time is 7 p.m. your time. You are correct, Jake Forrest. You are correct, Jake Forrest. You are correct, Jake.
Ooh, Kiwiland. Is that New Zealand?
It's my main email address, which is @suartesciencemail.com. Ciao. Okay. Right. There you go. Eric Strauss backwards. That's correct.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Right. Back on topic. Once again, getting sidetracked. All right. The topic is how to become enlightened like me. So, first, you have to put yourself in a very dark box. Then, you have to put on a mask to keep all the light out. You got to stay there for your whole life until whammo, one day you burst out of it and say, I can see the light, and rip off the shit off your face. The framework relatively is utilized according to the will first and the representation of the world second. I would say is teleologically twofold, and the inherent descriptive, also the inherent descriptive goal. You guess what is more important, understanding the correct or utilizing the correct? Even this question alone for a certain attention to deliberation or action. That's exactly right, Rizmus. I agree with everything you said there. I would also point out that the prime directive provides it also a self-analysis, like it's not just describing yourself or other people through a central function matrix, but it's putting all of humanity underneath a single frame as well. So you got that extra layer of humanity, man. And I would say that's the most important layer because it's the most meta. Typology has a goal and simultaneous does not have a goal. Well, I mean, obviously the statement typology has a goal is a reification fallacy. Typology that can't have goals is not an agent. But the idea of it being that people who are engaged in typology or the typology community, that they use it in some fashion or that they think it ought to be used in some fashion, that's what we're talking about. Explain? No, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. There is an alternate route to enlightenment. You've got to eat a shit ton of cereal. That's it. Now look, you might think, well, that sounds easy. I mean a shit ton of cereal. Okay, like it's not easy. Let me tell you, it's not. Okay.
Every day.
Christina Bowman, you get off that treadmill right now. What are you doing? You're going to make your breasts saggy with all that exercise. Is that what you want to do? You want saggy breasts? The purpose of typology is to put people in a box. I see. Are the purpose of your words to convey meaning or just mush?
Winston's mom.
The purpose of typology is to put people in a box. Right, Tom, and mistype them? Who mistyped who? I didn't mistype you. Schrodinger's cat is napping in the box. Okay. Well, you and I disagree about your type, but I only have a hypothesis about it. I see it as a way to better understand the self and others, hence improving the evolution of the human condition. How one uses this framework may be subjective.
I like that. Yeah. Midnight Blue? Is that?
I was actually looking at Christina's bones coming at the
Oh, it's
boobs.
funny. Getting texts can make them perkier, though. I don't know. So can silicone.
Bruce Wayne, I think you're on the right track there. Okay. Midnight Blue.
Exactly.
I agree with you. How one uses this framework is presumably objective, but why one chooses one framework over another, or the justification for using that framework or whatever, those are certainly subjective. Yeah. Does typology contribute to the matching of surroundings and how each type searches ways results in meaning, or what? I mean, are you saying, is it a self-fulfilling prophecy of sorts that you find yourself behaving more like an ENTP when you know you're an ENTP than you would have otherwise, presumably? Well, I would say no, because I've seen enough. I know how I was when I was a little kid, and I spent most of my life not, I spent until I was in my early 30s before I even heard about MBTI. And it wasn't until my 40s that I heard about cognitive functions. So in that regard, I don't think it's self-fulfilling, if that's what you mean. Go ahead, Rachel. What were you going to say?
Oh, I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh.
I was making the noises regarding something else.
I see.
Yeah.
You were almost 60 when you learned about MBTI. You got me beat, Winston's mom. You got me beat like a rug.
What?
She did not discover MBTI until she was almost 60 years old.
Oh, wow.
The goal is to gain useful understanding of yourself and the world that may not happen the way you expect. I mean, for me, the goal is to provide me some sort of framework to explain everything to people. Really. It's kind of an FE goal. But I feel like I have a duty to explain everything to people. Because, everyone wants to fucking fight with me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, look, people, let's all put our egos aside here for a second and just deal with the fact that, yeah, I figured it out and I'm explaining it to you. What's the alternative? To just reject it because some specific person figured it out? That's how it's always going to be. It just happened to be me.
May I?
Yeah, of course, darling. Sorry to booger.
I want that to be yours since you stuffed it for you.
Yeah. We were talking on Facebook. I was trying to hook up, but keep it private. Who are you trying to hook up with? Pokes a lot, make a vagina hole?
Uh-oh. I forget if this is clogged, actually.
Oh, yeah, it is clogged. That doesn't even work right now. Yeah. I need to unclog it. Here, let me deal with that. You smoke this.
Okay.
Let's get this weed out of here for you. Is that weed you put in there right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right. Can you take over this chair for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Ow. And I need this. And I need one of these. So Rachel's here, everybody.
Hey. How many of you guys? What are you talking about now? I would never beat you like a rug, but I might lay you down next to my bed and let Juliet Ferret, Micah Ferret play on you for a while before Rachel came to pick you up. Aw. Tom Dickelson, the goal is to act like the dual of every type you interact with? I guess. Yeah, you can use that. Yeah, this is both of them are extrovert side. Nature, why? I wonder, are you trying to hide your dream girl? Who's your dream girl? I had a dream about Jimmy Fallon, actually. Hey, Jean Grey. And like what I had a dream about actually like came true too. Like he has like, oh, thanks, Jake Forrest. He like in New York had a reputation for like, I don't know, going out and drinking and stuff, possibly cocaine. Can't tell you for sure, but I had a dream that he like hung out with his sister and his sister's kids, and they were like playing video games, and he like bounced back. And I heard that I not like a few months after it happened, the dream happened and it actually came true. But I have like ridiculous dreams that have more like deeper meaning too. And thank you, Jake Forrest. It will be, you won't regret it at all. It's going to be fantastic. You made a very wise decision. I felt it was the mother was testing me. Yeah, Midnight Blue, that's probably true. But I will say that the friends who matter most will actually listen to that. You know, things are changing. I've been preparing for my law essays, interviews, and I need Eric to destroy my argumentation with his brain. Perfect. How much older, Angantir? I was always attracted to older men because if they were smart and could teach me something, but I married young, so it's more of a mentor thing. Law essay, Jake? Yeah, Midnight Blue, you got this. Keep on doing you, really. Did you take the LSTAT, the test for the bar, Jake? Jake Forrest, you'll get that. Have I thought about being a therapist? Yes, I have. Yes. I actually was thinking about art therapy for a while, but the schooling was too much. It wasn't really available at the time that I was looking for it, and yeah. Hey, Octavia Silva. How's it going? I was thinking about your artwork before. Do you sell your artwork? Or are you more like do you freelance at all? I see you doing well with that.
Hey, Dad. Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. We'll definitely eat this.
The chocolate cake in the refrigerator out here in the garage.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
When I think of wolves, I think of Game of Thrones, and I think of not necessarily Starks, but I think of Jon Snow. I don't usually, but KKSP convinced me to the other day. Nice, Octavia. So that's great. And Jake Forrest, that sounds like a great idea too. Christina, have you looked into occupational therapy? Great money. It is great money. I actually looked into occupational therapy. You help. It's not as physical as physical therapy. It's more fine motor skills, and it's very nurturing. As you can see, I am not in that role. I volunteered and I helped, and it was really fun, but it was a lot of science, and again, a lot of school. But I would recommend that job. It's a great job. Make a lot of money off the bat. You can support yourself. Again, it's not that physical, but you get to work with people. Hey, Peter. Are you and Countess still hanging? How's it going? Pokemons! Thank
Fixed.
you.
You're welcome. Doesn't have any water in it, but it's fixed.
That's fine.
Put some water in it. Cool. So, Rachel, do you enjoy the intense exchange of emotions that is characteristic of beta quadrants romance style?
Probably, yes.
We do a fair amount of intense exchange
Yeah.
of emotions.
And I would say it stems from me. Probably.
I mean, I like it a lot too.
Yeah, you do.
I often say, okay, let's lie down together and have a hard time.
More than I do.
Well,
But I pet.
Rachel, when Eric gets all shouty, do you get turned on because you're SEC game? I don't really get shouty with Rachel. I have, but
Yeah, well, I mean, arguments.
I mean, but even then, it's not like, to the extent that I get shouty, it's because I'm making a mistake and not realizing that, oh, wait, she's not doing that thing. She's doing something different. You know?
I don't shy away from conflict, but I wouldn't say it's like a fetish. Definitely not.
But I would say that Rachel has indicated to me on a couple occasions in the past that she doesn't object to and thinks it's appropriate that I sometimes kick ass or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah. Are she all dressed up?
I'm actually wearing Eric's shirt.
Yeah. Peter says I'm an imposter, but I did say who I really am. That's true. You did. Peter didn't teach you. You're not an imposter. You're just a sexier version of Peter didn't teach you. Oh, I see. Indeed.
Hermit retrograde. What a great email.
I want to know what's going on with Peter didn't teach you and Countess.
I do too.
All right. Why don't you two meet us in video conference room? We can chat and discuss your trip to Santa Cruz. How it's going. What's all the gossip? What's all the happenstance? What's all the ganache? What's all the coochie?
The frou-frou.
What's all the chakatas?
Or the
Single white engineer. Christina Bowman is a engaged lady. She's got an engaged man.
Congratulations. Fucking annoying.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah, what's going on?
All right. So why was I asking about enlightenment or awareness? I wouldn't say I was asking about it. I'd say I was musing about it, and part of the reason is because I guess it stems from the video made about the Prime Directive, which is that it's interesting the way that I can manage to successfully frame almost everything through that. Countess, you're an INTJ. You not being able to think of anything to talk about and me not being able to think of anything to talk about are two entirely different matters.
Girls want guys to have a good job, and guys want girls to have good boobs.
Well, she's got good boobs.
I don't really have a good job, really. I mean, it's okay. It's fine, I guess. It's not like what normally we
I
would be
wouldn't
like, he's
say
got
that
a
I'm
good
dating him
job.
for his job.
Rachel's got a good job. Her job is being my girlfriend.
It is. It's really great. I love it. It's not even a job.
Okay, Countess. Jeez, why don't you be all private and everything? Why don't you be all introverted? Why don't you keep all my private business private? Yeah,
What?
be all boring and shit.
Who's a fool? You's a fool?
I mean, I don't think NTPs are perceived as dumb because of their absent-mindedness. I think they're perceived as harmless. And that's often a mistake to perceive an NTP.
Yes.
So
That first fight will scare you. I don't know about INTPs, but
I'm not sure. The thing is, I will say this. What defines a fool is a good question and one worth talking about.
ooh, that is a good question.
So Rachel identifies with the Fool card in tarot,
Yeah.
which is an interesting linkage here. Fool normally has a derogatory meaning. It's typically a epithet, I guess you'd say, or something.
I don't know what that means.
It's like an insulting word, right?
Yeah, it is.
But there's a lot more to the word than just that. So you might say, what are you doing? Oh, just fooling around. The word fool in it. Just foolish banter or something. There's much more sort of gentle, almost positive connotation to it.
Yeah.
And there's the fool, meaning the jester, which was a position of some odd status and power, despite being the fool, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the fool was probably the most savvy of all the people in the court, right? The guy who gets up and makes all the jokes, and you know.
Yeah.
Rachel taking the leap of faith and moving fully on Eric's microclimate is an excellent embodiment of the fool. Well, it really is. Man, it paid off in this instance. The thing is, the fool is not always wrong. The fool is hopeful. You know, the fool is optimistic, perhaps overly so.
Yep.
The fool is considered naive, which means really they afford people the benefit of the doubt.
It's very, very true.
So, what you dock over there, girl?
I don't know.
Dock over the weed. Oh, girl.
I did.
You know you're my world. So I described this period of time,
Thanks.
perhaps even before Rachel got here, but certainly since, as a second adolescence for me. And it totally feels like it. Rachel described independently of me this relationship as feeling like a teenage relationship.
Yeah.
And we are indeed in a very, very much of a fool's paradise here, which is to say, we have few responsibilities. You know, we're providing. Well, you know, we're being a family, basically.
Yeah.
That's kind of our overall job, being a family, stay around, take care of mom, be here for dad, and
yeah, it's nice.
And you know, I work some. I got to work later in the night, but mostly, you know, that's my job. And Rachel's job is the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
It's be a part of the family and help with mom and be my girlfriend and my dad loves her. I mean,
And I love them. They're great people.
they both
so
love her.
sweet.
They both
Ugh.
absolutely adore her. It's remarkable, really, because my dad is not one to actually voice an opinion about my significant others. Really, he kind of keeps that arm's distance, and he doesn't really say things like "I like Rachel." He just says things like he comments on her great utility, like, wow, she's really fitting in well. She's not causing any problems at all. And, you know, mom really loves her. She can sit there and chat with Rachel. Rachel chat with her for hours, it seems like. She's wonderful. You know, like, mom thinks she's wonderful. Not really ever say, like, I think she's wonderful, because that's just not dad's style, you know. He's always talking about it like that. But that's very unusual. I don't hear that kind of shit from my dad about people that are, you know, it's gone so smoothly. It's kind of crazy. And so in that regard, the fools have worked it out just fine.
Yeah.
I didn't read that yet.
Exciting Worlds and Bill series.
With prosecutor Lionel Sprinting Wolf and defendant Eric Strauss with Judge Rachel and all of us as jury.
Ew, what? Who's sprinting? Who's Lionel? A sprinting wolf?
Dr. Lionel Sprinting Wolf Kazaquo is a life coach who's 1/32nd Native American.
Oh.
We'll teach you how to sprint like a wolf. We do just fit. I mean, have you seen the fucking astrology charts on us?
Yeah, we
really
did give
good.
the birth like info. Did anyone do it?
I mean, we looked it up ourselves, but it's regardless of all that stuff, I keep trying to kind of figure it out exactly as best I can. And there's that aspect to it that Rachel and I just fit. But for me, it's this sort of gradually lifting fog of disbelief. Like, I think she actually likes me. I think this seems to be different. Seems to be a lot different. This person actually seems to like me a lot. Seems to actually be happy to be with me. Thrilled even. And I am just as totally thrilled. And this is something that's, you know, nothing's difficult. Rachel's never a problem. You know?
Neither you.
It makes it really easy to make sure that, you know, she gets to do what she wants as much as possible and stuff like that.
Fool is associated with 7SX. Yeah.
Tom Chickelson asks, Rachel, does Eric's lack of SE sometimes bother you, since it is a valued function after all?
He tells me to be patient. Sometimes I do remind him. I guess I would say no.
There's a weird thing about SE and HPs. As I'm talking about at lunch today. The 8th slot function is your balance function. You use it in a lot of ways more